Everybody. This is Mary Williams again, talking today about the basics for the research paper in British Literature 1. Here we go. So what does that question mean? What does basics of a research paper mean for our class? Here we go. This is a literature essay about what we are reading. It's not history, it's not sociology, although a little of those will probably end up in there. It's really not much about the history of the events, although the history of something helps to determine the literature about it. You must find sources that discuss the actual readings that we're doing during the semester, the letters, the journals, the diary entries, the stories, the poems. You must make an argument. Answer one of the essay questions. Only one. You must use both primary and secondary sources. So what's a primary source or a secondary source? Well, let's go see. Primary sources are poetry, stories, and so forth in the reader and the online links we're using. They are the readings assigned in the modules for each week. They are not the nonfiction introductions to authors, for example, or technical readings about grammar or MLA style. Secondary sources are articles, blogs, book chapters, web page articles, web pages about the primary sources. So they talk about how they are written and maybe why they are written that way. There are lots of these possible. Online and print are both acceptable. You will probably use more online. They might be a little bit about history. You can't have literature without history, and you're not going to have history that develops without literature. However, do not look for only history sources, please. Making your argument. You have to come up with an answer to the essay question that you choose. Choose only one. And your answer is not a yes or no. It's arguable. You must read and consider secondary sources that discuss the primary sources. And you must include, of course, both support and opposition, plus refutation. What's that, Dr. Williams? So, what are support, opposition, and refutation? Support, basically, in favor of. It agrees with your ideas, or the source might agree with other secondary sources that you find. Opposition, basically, of course, means against. It's the opposite of your ideas, or it might disagree with other secondary sources, and or it might offer ideas you had not yet considered. Maybe you haven't run into them yet. Finally, refutation basically means coming back against. So a refutation source disagrees with some of your opposition's arguments. It will help you discuss why your ideas or support ideas are more logical or more useful. And these often come from support or other sources that you find later. And finally, academic essays contain introductions, conclusions, and reference pages, which we will learn about later. You must use modern language association style throughout. That includes the format of the paper, the citations in the text, and the final works cited page.